Hi everyone, my name is Jill Powell. I am a celebrity makeup artist. I've been doing makeup for well over 20 years, and I'm also a TDC mom. So I have worked with the staff at TDC to create a new makeup look with brand new customized makeup products for this year, and I'm super excited. So let's get started and teach the self-application of the new makeup look. So first things first, I want to make sure you have all your products in front of you. Let's start with brushes. So go ahead and grab all your brushes. I want to make sure that you have the right shapes and the right sizes for your eyes. So starting out with the eyeshadow brushes, we will need some sort of smaller blending brush. So this is what a small blending brush looks like. I love like a MAC 217. This one is by Smith. It's the 232. Anything along this shape and size. You will also need some sort of a flat eyeshadow brush. This is called like a flat shader. So I like it to be a little bit fluffy, but also flat so you can really pack that pigment on. You will also need some sort of like a detail brush. So I've got like these two, which are pencil brushes, or like a little smudge brush can work. So something along those lines. You will need a flat concealer brush. I want this to have a rounded edge because we're going to be doing a cut crease. And so this will help with create that shape. You will also need an angle brush. So something like this. This is a MAC 266. Some sort of concealer brush. So this one's a little bit more unique, but you can use any sort of synthetic concealer brush just to apply concealer under the eyes. I have like a little detail brush. This one's great for the smaller eyes or areas. This is not totally needed, but it's another suggestion for a detail brush. Some sort of a highlighter brush. So I love this one because it just applies really gently. This one's by Morphe. It's the M501, but anything that will apply highlighter to the cheek area. You will also need some sort of a foundation brush. So I love a domed foundation brush. You can also use a flat foundation brush or whatever you prefer. I love an angled blush brush for contour. You can also use some sort of like a small dome like this. This one's by Sephora. This one's at Guerlain, so a little bit more expensive. A blush brush, again, I love an angle. So this is a MAC brush. But you can also use kind of like a shape like this for your blush. And then I need you to have a powder brush. So I like this one because it applies it really gently, but something to apply your powder with. And then optional, if you would like to use a beauty sponge or beauty blender, this is great for foundation as well. So those are all the brushes that you will need. Moving on to the products. Definitely have some sort of skincare, some hydrating serum, moisturizer, a lip balm, chapstick, something to moisturize your lips. You will need a brow pencil. I love ones that have a spoolie on the end so that we can kind of brush it through. You will need an eyeshadow primer or a full coverage concealer that can prime the eye. You will still need your full coverage concealer for the cut crease look, and it's great for using under the eyes. We have our customized eyeshadow palettes now, so go ahead and grab that. The customized face palettes as well, we will need those. You will need a black liquid liner. Pens are really easy to use, so go ahead and grab that. A powder foundation, so whatever one matches your skin that you've chosen. You will also need our customized lip products, so the lip liner and liquid lipstick. Your lashes, the lash style is going to be Ardell Studio Effect Wispies. So they look like this. Make sure they are the Studio Effects. This is a little bit different than the regular wispies. With your lashes, it's always good to have a lash glue. I love Duo. There's also lash placement tools that look like this, or you can use tweezers, and definitely a pair of scissors so that you can trim if needed. A black mascara, your choice of long wearing liquid foundation, and then some optional choices. If you prefer, you can use a foundation primer and a setting spray. Again, these are optional. If you get really oily or makeup doesn't stay on your skin, these are definitely something that can help. So those are all the products that you need. So go ahead and get those right in front of you, and let's get started. Okay, so the first step I'd like you to do is go ahead and prep your skin. You're gonna use your hydration serum or your moisturizer, anything that you use to prep and hydrate your skin. Reason being is we want the skincare to soak in while we're doing the rest of our makeup. It will just help the makeup actually last a lot longer on the skin. I'm gonna put a little bit of lip balm, my lips are chapped. We are also using a longer wearing liquid lipstick, so it's always good to hydrate your lips at the very beginning so that it doesn't disrupt the color. If you do it right before, sometimes it can make the color not last as long. So I did a hydrating serum. I'm gonna put a moisturizer too. I'm a little bit more dry. I do get oily a little bit later in the day. So now that you've done that, our first step is going to be brows. So take your brow pencil and we're gonna brush our brows up and kind of into place. And for the girls that don't tweeze their brows that much, I really want you to focus on this inner part of the brow. You are going to create a little bit of definition at the base of your brow and then brush that pencil up into your hairs. I have overplucked when I was younger and my hair doesn't grow, so I kind of have to add those hairs back in. But if you have hair, just gently add a little bit of color. And then I want you to focus on your top arch. So you really want this arch right here being defined. Again, if you have fuller brows, these are the two areas that you really want to define, because when you're doing facials on stage, we want you to be able to see your beautiful brows and they just frame the face. If you have any other sparse areas, go ahead and fill those in. If you do not, then just brush that product through and keep your brows looking pretty natural. They don't need to be really strong or blocked out. They just need to be a little bit more emphasized for stage. So you see the difference? So again, we're gonna start at the base of the inner part of the brow, brush that product in an upward motion with your pencil, kind of vertically. And we're gonna focus on this top arch into the tail. And then any other sparse areas, go ahead and fill in. Brush that product through so that it looks really natural. And your brows are done. The next step we're gonna do is eyeshadow primer. So go ahead and grab whatever eyeshadow primer you prefer. I am actually going to use a concealer on my eyes because I have a lot of discoloration. So you can use an eyeshadow primer or a full coverage concealer. I'm just gonna take a flat brush and apply it all over. You want it to go from your lid, all the way at the base of your lid, to the base of your brows. If you're doing a primer, you can also use your finger. But again, I have a little bit of redness on my eyelids, so I like to conceal it. If you have deeper skin tones, this is also a great trick. Use a lighter concealer, something in the medium skin tone range. And what that will do is it will kind of give you a lighter surface to apply the shadows on, and it will make them pop and really, really stand out. So you'll be able to see all the colors and it will look really beautiful. So again, lash line all the way up to the brow. And I just take my finger and kind of pat the edges so that I don't have any harsh lines. Okay, so the eyes are all primed. We are ready for our first step. So go ahead and grab your crease brush. So it's something with a little bit of fluff to it. I'm gonna go ahead and use this Smith brush because I have a little bit more space. If you have smaller eyes, do something a little bit smaller. We're gonna grab our Temecula Dance Company makeup palette, and we're using the top right color. It is the light brown shade. I'm gonna grab a little bit of product on my brush, starting in the outer corner with my eyes open without lifting my brows. I'm just going to start creating a little rainbow shape that's right in my crease. So if you push the brush and you kind of feel the top of your eyeball, that's the location I want this to go. So now that you've placed the color, you can press a little bit harder and really blend that out. So go back and forth, starting from the outside of your eye all the way in. And just make sure that that color is nice and blended. If you need it to be stronger, go ahead and do a second layer. It's always better to add layers than to do too much at first, because you can really build intensity this way. We do want this color to be visible when you have your eyes open. So doing the other side again, starting on the outside of the eye, right into that crease, we are carving out a rainbow shape, doing a windshield wiper motion back and forth. And I'm just blending that top edge, adding a second layer for intensity. Again, back and forth. Sometimes I do this kind of little swirly motion. And again, it needs to be visible when your eyes are open. Next, take your eyeshadow shader brush, and we are going to take the vanilla color in the top left corner. You're going to grab some product on that brush. Starting in the arch of your brow, go ahead and place that vanilla color right there. And we're just going to kind of highlight the brow bone. A little bit skinnier on the inner part, a little bit fuller. I'm going to grab a little bit more. So skinnier on the inner part, and then meet that brown color. So wherever that brown got brought up to, you kind of want to meet it. If you see a harsh edge, just go ahead and take your brush that you just applied the brown with and soften that. See how that just diffused? So again, taking your vanilla with a flat shader brush, we're going to start in the arch and just really brighten up the underneath of the brow to make that pop, and then softening that edge again to make sure it's nice and blended. So now that you've completed that, I want you to grab some sort of a small detail brush. If you would like, you can also grab like a pointier blending brush like this, something that's going to be able to apply the product but also blend it. We are going in with the burgundy shade, which is the only shimmer in the palette. It's the bottom right-hand corner. I'm going to grab some product on my brush. Starting in the outer part of the lid, we are dropping off this burgundy shade on the outer part of the lid, filling it in to about 1/3 over. So right, if you were to divide your eye, it goes basically white and then whatever color your eye is and white. You want it to be in that white first third on the outer corner. So outer part of the lid. And then what I want you to do is bring this up in like a C shape right at the base of the brown crease. So I'm rounding it and creating like a C shape on the top. The top part will come to about halfway over. So the base is only 1/3 over, but the top goes to about halfway over in your crease. So when you see that, it's just defining that outer part of your eye. We're going to repeat on the other side. Take your product, drop it off in the outer corner, filling in 1/3 of your lip, 1/3 of your lid. So drop it off 1/3 of your outer part of your eyelid. And then with your eye open, you are going to create a C shape, a nice rounded shape at the base of your crease. So this color should be right at the eye socket where it goes in, and we're bringing that till about halfway over, okay? So the top is going to go in a little bit more than the bottom. And then if you need to, you can blend that color with a clean brush. Another great way to know location for this is if you were just to take a brush and basically push it on the outside of your lid, and with your eye open, you're going to basically do this. Okay, that's the location. I want it to be right in your eye socket. I don't want this to be brought up too high. This is really just defining that definition, that depth of your eye socket. I'm just adding a little bit extra intensity in my eye socket where that C shape, that top C shape is. So now you're gonna see the burgundy, and then it's gonna go to the light brown, faded to the vanilla, okay? So outer 1/3, middle is about the half, outer 1/3, middle is about the half. Our next step is to take a full coverage concealer and a flat concealer brush. You are gonna dot just a little bit of concealer on the back of your hand. If it's a wand, I kind of take it and roll it. So you're gonna get the product on the back of your hand. Take your flat concealer brush, pick up the product on only one side of the brush. You see that? We are gonna create a cut crease here. So this is where I want you to go slowly, but take this color. You're gonna gently lift your brows and kind of squint your eyes a little bit to get that area really flat. And I want you to just press and create a half moon shape on the inner part of your lid. We are going to go right, you wanna make sure it's your lid area only, don't bring it up too high. We are gonna go right where we just put that burgundy, and we're creating a really defined edge between the light brown and burgundy, light brown on the inner corner, burgundy towards the half, a really, really defined edge of our lid. Okay, so we are cutting that crease. The top is gonna go till about half to 2/3 over. We're gonna fill in the entire lid till about where we got the burgundy. So almost 2/3 over on the bottom. So again, this shape is not gonna be half and half. It's gonna slowly kind of from half at the crease, kind of slowly taper down so that you're gonna get this kind of half moon shape that slowly tapers down. Repeat on the other side. Again, taking that and using the rounded part of the top of your brush, kind of raise your brows and squint. And we're gonna tap, 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 creating a nice sharp edge, cutting your crease and creating that lid. You want that edge to be nice and a clean line. So if you have to drag a little bit, you can go ahead and do that. We want to make sure that it's the lid area. We are going to fill that in. Try not to go too high. So about halfway over and then tapering down into the burgundy. What I like to do here, I'm just going to fix my line a little bit. I want to put a tiny bit high on this side, but that's okay. What I like to do here is just kind of take my finger and soften the edge between the burgundy and the concealer. I have nothing on my hand. I'm just simply tapping the product, and that's going to just blend it so that we have like a softer transition. Okay, so now that you've cut the crease, we need to set the crease. So we're going to take our flat brush. It can even be the same one that you just used for your brow highlight color. We're going to take the vanilla shade on the top left, grab a good amount of product. I like to tap it off. And we are going to press the vanilla right on top of where we did that concealer, keeping that top edge really sharp. We want that to be a sharp, sharp, sharp line. And then we are going to tap, 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 and that vanilla is going to meet the burgundy. We're going to repeat on the other side. Press that vanilla shadow right on top of that concealer, keeping that top line really sharp. Getting a lot of pigment on there. This color needs to pop. If it's not popping, you need to do another layer. Do not be afraid to put too much on. You just need to make sure that that crease that you just cut is really sharp. So make sure you have enough product on there. And now we are going to move into the dark brown shade. So this is what it should look like right now. So you'll see the light brown, you'll see the burgundy, you'll see the vanilla cut crease, you'll see the vanilla highlight. So we're gonna move into the matte dark brown on the outer left corner using a detailed brush like a pencil brush. We're gonna create almost like a thick eyeliner. So I'm starting from the outer part of the lid and I'm going till about halfway over. And this is like a thick eyeliner. I'm not covering up the entire burgundy, but I'm creating a little bit of definition on the outer half of the lid. So you'll see the dark brown from the outer corner till the center of my eye. And at the center of my eye, it's just kind of faded. So it kind of goes a little bit thinner to a little bit thicker, just creating that nice shape. Repeat on the other side, starting from the outside. We are going to press and drag this color till about halfway over. Okay, just gonna add a little bit more intensity. You want this color to be nice and strong. Next, we're gonna take our angle brush like this, and we are gonna add a little bit of liner to the bottom of the eye. I'm gonna take the light brown because I'm a light to medium skin tone. If you are a deeper skin tone, use the matte dark brown. This one's gonna show up a little bit better. We're gonna take that angle brush, we're gonna go right underneath the bottom lashes, and I'm just gonna go till about 2/3 the way over. So you'll see, again, I'm gonna stop where basically the whites of my eye start on the inner corner. Again, grabbing the light brown for my light to medium skin tones. Medium deep to deep, you guys are gonna grab the matte dark brown so that it shows up. And you are gonna go 2/3 the way over on the bottom. All right, I'm gonna have you guys grab your face palette and we are gonna do a little bit of highlight. So starting with the center color, this kind of shimmery pinkish tone, and grab like a small brush. It can be a smudge brush, a little small pencil brush, something along those lines. And we are gonna do basically like a thicker liner along the top lash line, meeting in the center where that brown is. So we are gonna create a little bit of shimmer only along the lash line. Again, with the face palette and the center color. This is just gonna add a little bit of a pop on stage. I don't want it to be the entire lid. It needs to be matte so that it really stands out, that cut crease. I'm just gonna make sure that we have enough shimmer right along the lash line. And again, meeting in the center where that dark brown is. Staying in your face palette, I'm gonna grab the outside color. This is like the light pearl shade. It's the outside right hand for my light to medium skin tones. Medium to deep, go ahead and grab this gold. It's gonna be more flattering on your skin tone. And we are gonna do an inner corner highlight, creating a V, tracing the inner shape of your eye. So that is gonna go from the inner corner till 1/3 over where we meet the light brown or the dark brown color. Again, repeating on the other side. And I'm just using the same brush that I just used. We're just creating an inner corner highlight. That nice V meeting. So it's gonna go 1/3 over on the bottom, meeting where we did the bottom liner. Our next step is liquid liner. So go ahead and grab your liquid liner pens. And we are gonna start, I like to start in the center and lift my brows slightly. I'm gonna draw a thin line. If you draw horizontally, lay the pen horizontally and you can kind of lay it on your lashes. This will give you a better control. I also touch my fingers to my face so that I have a little more stability. You're gonna draw a thin line all the way across from the inner corner all the way across. Then I want you to add a little bit of thickness on the outer half. So starting at the center of the eye, I want you to slightly get thicker. And then on the end of the eye, we want it to basically end where the eyeshadow's ending. So it's not extended, but it is on the outside of your lid. And it needs to be thicker. I'm just tracing the shape of the outside of the lid here. So thicker on the outside. So it will go thin, and at the center, it will gradually get thicker. And repeating liner on the other side, I like to start always with my pen facing kind of like horizontally onto my eye. And I'm just dragging, placing it like pretty much on my lashes. I want it to be as close to the lash line as possible. And then I turn in my hand a little bit. This is a little awkward at first, but if you turn your hand, you can kind of get that same shape. Again, laying it right next to the lash line. I'm just doing small little strokes so that I can get a really clean line. So we're gonna go from the inner corner all the way across. When you get to the center, I want you to make it a little bit thicker. So I always do one thinner line and then I add to the thickness. Again, using my fingers to balance on my face. So then at about halfway is where that thickness will start. And then just cleaning it up and making sure that it's nice and perfect. Now you may apply mascara, top and bottom lashes. So whatever mascara you prefer. You don't need too much on the top. We are going to be applying lashes, but the mascara will give a nice base for the lashes to stick to. And then a little bit on the bottom. Sometimes I'll kind of go along vertically and then brush them down. That way you don't get too many smudges. Everyone always makes a funny face when they do mascara, so. All right, top and bottom lashes. If you have really long bottom lashes, you can just focus the mascara at the base of them. You don't necessarily have to comb it all the way through. Just want to make sure that there's no clumps. And then we are going to be moving on to lashes. So grab your Studio Effect Wispies. And we are going to measure them first. So taking them out of the container, it's always good to place your index finger on the lash and slowly roll. That is basically going to pull the lash off the container without messing up. You want to be really gentle. I don't suggest grabbing the end and peeling this way. Sometimes you can kind of tweak the outside lashes. So this is the best way. Again, use your index finger, press, and then slightly roll as you pull down, and it will keep the lash intact. So then you can grab your lash off the container. There might be some residual glue. So you want to go ahead and pick any of that little glue off because it's just going to create a little bump. I'm going to take off the excess glue on each of these. Sometimes it's more than others. See, this one has a little bit more right there. So I'm going to peel all of that off. Make sure that it's nice and clean. And then we want to measure. So when we're looking at our lashes in the container, come back for 1 second. There is a left and a right lash. It goes from shorter to a little bit longer. These ones are longer in the center, but definitely look for that shorter lash. That's that inner corner lash. You're gonna take your lash and you want to measure it on your eye. So what I like to do is hold my lash where my thumb is on the top and my pointer's on the bottom so that I can rotate it and see the bottom of the lash band. And take that and you're gonna start that first part of the lash where your first longest lash starts. So not all the way in the corner, but just a little bit over. We're gonna set it on to our lash and see if we need to trim. If you're looking in the mirror and it's falling below that outer part of your eye, you need to trim off from the end. So what I like to do is kind of count the number of knots that you need, and then you can trim those knots. So sometimes I'll trim just one. Today it looks like I can probably handle the whole lash. So maybe I'll put the whole lash on and see how it feels. So that's just setting it on. The next step I want you to do is to hold the lash and kind of put the ends together and form a circle and bend the lash band. This will get it to be a little bit more flexible. It will also help to hold it down. So when you let go, do you see how curved that is now? So now that's gonna really hold on to my eye and it's not gonna wanna lift. Once you've done that, go ahead and take your glue. If you are using the squeeze tube duo, it does need to dry for about a minute. What I'll do is I will push and create a little bubble of glue. And once you have that bubble, take that and you're gonna drag it along the lash band. You wanna make sure that there's enough glue on the inner and the outer part of the band because that's where it wants to lift a lot of the time, but a nice thick amount. If you have the wand of Duo, that is a quick set, so you don't need to let it dry in between. So you can see here, and I'm using black. If you are new, go ahead and use the clear, because if you move, the black will show up like black eyeliner. So I'm gonna let this set, I'm gonna set it down. I am going to do everything with my other lash, pull it off, peel off the glue, touch the ends together, bend the lash band, measure it on my eye. Usually if it's good for one eye, it's good for both eyes. But just to be sure, that one looks good. Take your glue, squeeze it up. If it's a new glue, mine's a little bit older because I use this all the time. If it's a new glue, you may want to put glue on the back of your hand and then use either, sometimes I'll use like the corner of the Duo, pick it up and apply it that way, because these glues can have little bubbles and you don't want to squirt too much glue on your actual lashes. You only want glue on the lash band. So just be really careful when applying it. That's why I try to get the little bubble, and once it's kind of on the outside, I just use that to drag. Gently, gently touch. Making sure you have enough glue all the way across. So that's what it should look like. And when you're using the black glue, it's gonna be gray at first, and when it starts drying a little bit more black, it's ready to be put on. If you're using the clear glue, it's gonna be really white at first, and when it starts to get a little bit more yellow so that it's starting to go clear, that's when it's ready to be put on. So this one is starting to dry. When you're applying your lashes, again, you can use tweezers or like a lash tool like this. I personally use my fingers, and I like to hold it with my index and thumb, kind of towards the center of the lash, but I like to tilt it so that you can really see the bottom of the lash band. Instead of coming straight in like this, you're not gonna get really close because you're not at the right angle. So sometimes I'll even put my thumb on top of the lash, so it's on the very top, and angle it this way so you can really see. So I'm gonna hold the lash. I'm gonna come in from the top. I'm gonna place it in the center, right on my lash line. I'm gonna grab the outside, like the ends of the outside, and I'm gonna push it in and make sure that's really close. And then I'm gonna grab the inside. This is where I'm gonna grab a tool so you guys can see. I'm gonna grab the lash, grab the inside, and just set it right on that liner. You wanna push in and kind of down from the ends of the lash. And that way it ensures that it gets really close to the lash line. My other lash should be just about ready. So that one's starting to dry a little bit. Again, I'm coming in from the top. Place it right in the center first. Grab the outside, push it in. Grab the inside, step to my lash, and push it in. And make sure it's right on your lash line. You can kind of push in from the ends of the lash to make sure that it's really stuck on your eyelid. And then sometimes I tilt them up to make sure that they are pointed upwards. So now you have completed all of your eyeshadow look. We're gonna move on to the face. Okay, so go ahead and grab a makeup wipe. We're gonna clean up any fallout that you have underneath the eyes. Just wanna make sure that that area is nice and clean. I really like the Neutrogena makeup wipes, but you can use whatever you want. And just make sure that you really clean up any extra fallout that you have under the eyes. And I like to take my finger and just kind of put it in the makeup wipe. We're gonna clean that up. And you wanna make sure that your shadows have not kind of fallen below this line. So if you were to hold a brush from the outside of your nose to the end of your brow, that's the line that you wanna make sure your eyeshadows don't fall. That way everything looks nice and lifted. And then we're gonna move on to complexion. So if you need a primer, a face primer, go ahead and apply that now. If you don't worry about it. You can go straight into foundation and just apply a little bit. I get a little bit oily in my T-zone. A little bit of primer all over. And then apply your foundation. I like to use a foundation brush and kind of like put the foundation on the back of my hand and work from there. I sometimes mix two foundations to get my right color. So, all right, we're gonna just start in the center of the face. Apply foundation everywhere. Kind of blend. You really want to focus on that jawline. If it doesn't totally match your skin perfectly, make sure you blend it down onto your neck. All around your nose, mouth, and jawline. When you're doing your forehead, just be really cautious of your brows. You want to make sure that you don't mess up the beautiful brow that you just did. Okay, so once it's all over, make sure everything's nice and blended. You have enough coverage. If you have any blemishes, you may need to go in with a concealer and cover those. I'm gonna take a beauty blender and just kind of press in the rest. If you have a beauty blender, make sure you pre-dampen it. It will double in size and be nice and soft. Otherwise it's a little hard and it will absorb too much product. So you're just gonna kind of press in. Make sure you don't have too much extra. And again, making sure your jawline is nice and blended, no harsh lines. All right, so complexion should be nice and even. We're gonna take our face palette next. Beautiful face palette. And there are two contour colors here. There's one on the left that's for my light to medium skin tones, and the one in the center is for my medium to deep skin tones. So go ahead and grab like some sort of contour brush. I prefer an angle. I am a light to medium skin tone, so I'm gonna grab the lighter shade. This has a lot of pigment. I grabbed a good amount because I like a lot of contour, but start little. You can always just do one swipe first. And then for your contour, I want you to, again, imagine if you had a line from the outer corner of your mouth to the center of your ear. This is kind of your contour line. Nothing should fall below that. It should kind of be here and above. So I'm gonna take my brush, and this is an angle brush. So I'm gonna start with the shorter bristles facing inward, and I'm gonna place it right at the center of my ear, kind of towards the top of my ear. And I'm just gonna slowly sweep inward. And as I sweep inward, I'm lifting my brush. Okay, so this is creating a nice contour line right underneath my cheekbone. You wanna make sure it's nice and blended. I want it coming in about 1 inch to 2 inches, and I want the end being nice and soft, so no harsh line, which is why when you get to the front, I want you to lift your brush, okay? So we're just applying this. Again, it should be center of the ear, not falling below. If you were to create an imaginary line from the outside of your mouth to the center of your ear, that should not fall below that line. We're gonna repeat on the other side, grabbing your color, center of your ear, sweeping inward, lifting as you get towards, and you're basically going here towards in between your nose and your mouth. That's the direction, because again, the bottom of it, you don't want it to fall below the line, hitting the edge of your mouth. Grabbing some product and creating that contour. If you see, I always like to go from starting here and lifting here, because then you're gonna get that really soft blended edge. We're gonna grab a little bit more of your color. We're gonna go right into the hairline. So on the forehead, right at the hairline, really blending that, but just so you create a little bit of dimension on the forehead. And this will give a little bit of color. I like to be a little bit more tan, so I'm adding a little extra. If you're more fair, just do a little bit here. We're gonna take a little bit more. We're gonna go down the center of the nose, really lightly. And then just a little bit on the chin. I'm gonna do a little on my jawline, just because I'm getting older. See those little things? But just a little bit on your chin's all you need. So if you think about it, it's almost like a heart shape. So here's your heart, but we're omitting the center of our forehead. But that's where I want your contour. So now you should have a little bit more movement and dimension to your face. And again, we're applying that directly over the foundation, and that's gonna make it stay. So it's gonna be a little bit stronger. Now we're going in with blush, and our blush color is very rich in pigment. It's the bottom right-hand corner. I want you to tap your brush once, okay? Only once, start with once. Smile. These are the apples of your cheek. And then do you see the contour? Think about a Nike swoosh. So it's gonna be a little bit more of like a rounded shape here, and then it's gonna taper off and kind of blend into that contour. So I'm applying to the apples of my cheek first. And I'm slowly sweeping it upwards. So again, the Nike swoosh. And I'm just gently sweeping it into the contour, making sure that it's nice and blended, but that the concentration of color is on the apples of your cheek. Again, one tap is all you need. Starting at the apples, give a little smile. And then we're sweeping it up into the contour. Blending as you go. I don't want to see any harsh lines like this, guys. We're not doing a line of blush. We are just softly getting the apples of our cheeks into the contour. Now that you've done that, we're gonna take our powder foundation and your powder foundation brush. So whatever color and product you have. And we are gonna start in the center of our face. And we're gonna set pretty much everywhere that doesn't have contour or blush. And we're gonna soften. If your blush is too harsh on this inner corner, that's gonna really soften it. Okay, so I want you to go along your chin, go right underneath your contour. Center of your forehead, down your nose. So this powder foundation is going everywhere that your blush and contour did not go. If you feel like you need to add more blush at this point, you can. I might need a tiny bit more. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more pigment. Again, one tap. Making sure that it's gonna stand out on stage. That's better. And now we're gonna do some concealer. I know I'm jumping around on steps, but I promise you there's technique behind all of this. So go ahead and grab your under eye concealer. I want you to do a small dot just below your inner corner highlight on both eyes. And then on the outside, I want you to draw a small line in that same plane that we talked about earlier, just on the outer corners of the eye, just like that. So you're gonna have a dot and a small line, a dot and a small line. Take your concealer brush and you're gonna use a tapping motion, tap, 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 tap. And we are gonna press this in and slowly blend to create brightness under the eyes. We don't want it to cover up our blush. So when it comes down to the blush, you wanna just softly blend that with your fingertip. We're gonna pat, pat, pat. And you can kind of extend this concealer upward, just like that. See how it creates almost like a little line. You don't want it to be too harsh, so you can definitely pat to soften that. You just wanna make sure that your under eye is nice and bright. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side, tap, tap, tap. This tapping motion really presses in the product and makes it so that it will stay and it won't crease on you. Again, using your finger if you need, you can also use your finger to tap, tap, tap. And then same thing with the outside, blending up and outward. And I'm just gonna use my finger to tap in any of the excess, making sure it's nice and blended and beautiful. If you have redness around your nose, you can also conceal that, or if there's any other blemishes that you see that you need to conceal, go ahead and do that now. And now that your under eyes are nice and bright, we are going to apply a little bit of highlighter. If you want to set it with powder too, you can. My concealer is set pretty well, and I don't like a ton of powder under my eyes, but if you feel that it's going to move, you can take your powder brush and set it. Then we're going to go back in with the face palette and our highlighter brush. And for my light to medium skin tones, you're going to use this pearl color. For my medium to deep, you're going to use the gold color. There's a lot of pigment in these, so be very careful. And that's why I want you using a really fluffy brush. And I want you applying highlight to the tops of your cheekbones right in this area, making sure that it's blended and it's not covering the blush. So again, just 2 little taps is all you need. We're gonna apply this to the tops of the cheekbones. Tap, tap, tap to make sure it's blended. Then I want you taking your index or middle finger, grabbing the same color that you just used. So again, for my light to medium skin tones, the pearl tone, for my medium to deep, the gold. And I want you just to draw a small line on the bridge of your nose. Do you see how strong that can be? Take a clean finger and just soften it, okay? This will just create a little bit of dimension on your nose. I don't want to see any harsh lines, but I do want to see that. So we put the bronzer first, and then we did the highlighter in the center. So this is just going to create a little bit of dimension on our face. When you're on stage, you'll be able to see it. And the last step in our makeup look is our lips. So go ahead and grab your lip liner and your liquid lipstick. These lip liners are retractable, so go ahead and twist up what you need. There is also a small sharpener on the back. If you pull it out, that can sharpen a dull end of the lipstick. So if you'd like to, you basically just put it on here and sharpen it, and it will make it pointy again. I don't always use it, but just be careful, because if you put the cap on the back, it might come out. So starting on your lips, I like to start at my Cupid's bow. And draw almost like a little X, getting that nice and even. And then I like to start at the center of the bottom of my lip. And draw that. And then you connect the dots. So I like to start in the corners of my mouth and meet the top. I put a finger on my face for anchorage. It really will help you to have some balance. See how slow I go and just create that nice line. And then go ahead and do the bottom. You want to get all the way to the corners of the mouth, okay? When you guys are on stage and you open your mouth, you want these corners to touch. So go ahead and make sure you have the corners totally filled in. Okay. If you're happy with the shape, apply your liquid lipstick. So grab that. I like to wipe off the wand a little bit. It has a lot of product on there. And then carefully apply your lipstick. And I like to blend before it dries, making sure that you have consistent color. And that is your Temecula Dance Company makeup look. Thanks, guys.